Friends, good evening. And welcome to the 26th annual benefit concert in support of Out of the Cold here at Knox Presbyterian Church. It is wonderful to see you all out here tonight, and it's wonderful to be able to share this time with those of you who are joining with us from home. Thank you for coming. Over the last number of years, I've spoken with different people, and they've shared that attending this event is an important step in their annual Christmas tradition. And we are so pleased that it is a part of your Christmas tradition. Tonight is a wonderful night of entertainment and singing together. And every bit as importantly, tonight is about raising funds in support of the Out of the Cold ministry that Knox Presbyterian Church shares in, along with congregations and groups from our community. Every night of the week throughout the winter months, the homeless and those who are on the edge of poverty in our community have an opportunity to have a good, healthy dinner each evening. We're thankful that we've been able to share in that for a good many years now, and it's because of support from folks such as yourselves that we are able to share that important ministry. And so thank you for coming out tonight. Also, our thanks to the Fort Erie Legion Band and the Thorold Reed Band, both of which are conducted by Andrew Carruthers, and also to the Knox Presbyterian Church Choir and our organist Ken Hutton, who will be leading the carols tonight. Now, I have to say that one of my favorite parts of this Christmas tradition of gathering together for the Out of the Cold concert are the witty, comedic zingers delivered by Andrew Carruthers. Unfortunately, and maybe for some of you, you'll think fortunately, Andrew doesn't have much of a voice tonight. But he has given me notes. And so I'm going to do my best to be Andrew's voice this evening, zingers and all. I hope I deliver them to your standards, Andrew. Friends, again, thank you for coming. We look forward to a wonderful evening together. And lastly, after our time here, please come downstairs. A number of restaurants and bakeries and businesses throughout St. Catharines have donated desserts for us to share together. So we look forward to a social time, a time of getting together to greet the members of the band and thank them. You just heard a very popular setting of carols arranged by Leroy Anderson. Our next piece, Greensleeves, is a well-loved English folk song dating back to 1580 that made its way into Christmas repertoire in 1865 when the words to the carol, "What Child Is This?" were added. We hope that you enjoy this arrangement by Alfred Reed. Remember, I'm Andrew right now. I'd like to invite a guest conductor to join with the Fort Erie Legion Band this evening while I head to the drum kit. That's Andrew. Oh, me?
You gotta go to the
You might regret that. To relieve Brett. Mayor Cisco made the note last year that Mariah Carey's Christmas favorite was his favorite. So I thought that I'd include it again to give him a chance to feel the same sense of power, amazement, hope, and angst he may feel at City Hall from my position at the front of the band. As the popular meme says, just swing your arms in time until the music stops, Matt. Welcome to the best seat in the house.
It's amazing how a good idea in September does not seem like such a good idea in December.
Well done. Mr. Mayor, if you think a baton might be helpful at a city hall meeting, and maybe Andrew could lend it to you. Friends, we're going to give the band a little bit of a break, and we'll be led by the choir as we sing together hymn number 133, Go Tell It on the Mountain. If you feel like you'd like to stretch your legs, this would be a wonderful time to do it. You're welcome to stand if you wish. The Fort Erie Legion Band is comprised of about 22 volunteer musicians. We play often at events in retirement homes around Fort Erie, as well as supporting the Legion at their events and remembrances. This next selection is one of the band's favorites, I think. It's a toughie, but lots of fun too. Here's Cowboy Christmas. We'll follow that up with Midnight in Bethlehem, a lovely medley of two well-known and loved carols by Warren Barker. My apologies.
I would never mess anything up.
The Fort Erie Legion Band began its set in a festive mood, and we'll finish our contribution this evening in the same way, with a festive Christmas. We hope you've enjoyed. After this, we'll ask that you prepare to sing again as the bands change up and the Thorold Reed Band takes their places. Thank you to members of the Fort Erie Legion Band. Friends, as the bands change over, I'd invite you to join your voices with that of our choir as we sing together, "It Came Upon the Midnight Clear." I've been thinking a lot lately about the labels that we create. I find that we're remarkably good at very quickly labeling things and values and positions and characters. I see that when I turn the TV on, at least. When I hear about political commentary or disagreements that are going on, when I hear about conflicts around the world and the causes that those conflicts are attributed to, I see that there are a lot of experts in the world, a lot of folks that are really quick to identify what is the truth and what is the cause and what is the solution. Though when those solutions are given the opportunity to be tested, they often don't work out the way they are expected. But in all of that, and even looking at the world closer to me, I see that we are really good at labeling, and we're often very, very quick to do it. Now, I'm told that this characteristic was an important part of our development as human beings. In times past, we are told that survival depended on hedging up protection and on building up security for your own family, for your own tribe, for your own people. Otherwise, you'd be left vulnerable to the threats that were outside. And so, in those days, children intermarried within communities, and alliances were formed between families. And when someone seemed different from you, different from your people, you kept them at a distance. Now, the interesting thing about this kind of action that's been lived out over and over and over again in human history is that it is an effort to protect yourself from pain that leads to that kind of action. You protect your own and you hold what is outside in order that you might avoid the pain that might otherwise infiltrate. And yet it's that very kind of prejudice that has fueled a great deal of pain, a great deal of hate, a great deal of violence in our world. I've been labeled by other people before. It's a painful sort of thing when that happens. But I know also that I've been guilty of labeling others as well, and causing the very kind of pain that I speak of this evening. Maybe the thing about life is that pain ought not be a thing that we try to flee, that we try to build up hedgerows against. Maybe instead we should seek to engage with pain. The late Rabbi Harold Kushner used to say, "Life is painful if you do it right." Life is painful if you do it right. He continues saying, "Life will inevitably hurt you. And the quality that you need is not to lead a charmed life so that you'll never be tested, but rather the quality you need is the resilience to endure and to work through pain." You see, pain is an inevitable part of really living. It's an inevitable part of really loving other people, because if you love someone, it's going to hurt, isn't it? And if they love you, they're going to hurt as well. Now, this is not something to shy away from. It's something to embrace. Rabbi Kushner said, the answer is live bravely. I think that's beautiful. Live bravely. Life's going to hurt if you do it right. Live bravely. Live bravely in an unreliable world. I see this kind of quality lived out in the volunteers and in the staff who come out here every Friday night to serve it out of the cold, feeding some of the most vulnerable people in our community. Those are the folks that a lot of people in our community, they shy away from, they move away from. They don't want to be near it. And yet the folks that come out here every Friday night, they come and they get to know our neighbors. They share food with them and conversations. They catch up on the stories of life just like you do with all of your friends. It's a really rich and a really wonderful thing. And I see that quality lived out in the lives of the folks that come here for their meals too. You know, some people look at a neighbor and they see difference. We're all the same. The folks that come here on Friday night, they've hit some bumps in the road that most of us have been very fortunate to not hit. But as I share with them and get to know them, I'm just amazed to find out how similar and how alike we are. The differences, they kind of disappear and your lives blend together. I think this idea of entering into pain is what the heart of Christmas is all about. You know, we have these images of Christmas, and they're wonderful. A family gathered around a table filled with food. It's a wonderful image, but you know it's not real. Because when the family gathers around that table filled with food, the potatoes aren't quite right. And Uncle Joe starts to talk about Justin Trudeau. And all of these things happen, and it's kind of messy. There's pain in family because family is real. You know, Christmas is just as much about that person who is at home by themselves, who can't find the energy to prepare a real Christmas dinner, because the only thing that accompanies them is their memories. Whew. Christmas is about the image that we have of this child born in a manger in Bethlehem. But Christmas is about the one who came to enter into our pain. We remember in that story that there was no room for him and his family. And we remember from that story the journey that he would follow, a journey where he was despised and rejected by the people around him, even as he opened his arms to embrace the world. I hope this year is a blessed Christmas for you. And I hope it's a real Christmas for you. And I hope that as you encounter pain in this season and in the year that is ahead, because it will greet us, I hope you find yourself engaging with it and enduring it and moving through it and entering into the pain of another, that they too might know the blessing that is yours. Thanks for coming tonight, everyone. We're glad to have you with us. Mayor Cisco.
Before I say anything, a round of applause for Reverend Ken. So I'm blessed to be here and honored to be here. I believe this is my 14th year now, and I keep track by asking my kids how old they are. And when we get to a certain number, I know that which kid it is, and that's how long. I've been very lucky to be able to come here on behalf of City Council. This was actually the first event that I ever came to as a City Councilor. I remember being really nervous. I had my notes written. I actually read off of a page and I read a speech. And I will admit that I was nervous that night. I was never more nervous than I was about 20 minutes ago standing in front of you. I don't think I've been that terrified in front of an audience in a very long time. And I apologize only to the band that they had to witness that. But all kidding aside, and whenever I come to Knox for this event, I always think about the comments I've made in the past. And every year, I've talked about community, and I've talked about the kind of community we're trying to build and the kind of community that all of us want to see in St. Catharines and in Niagara. Tonight was unique, though. Tonight, before I came here, I brought my kids to a public meeting that we were having just down the street at the Folk Arts building at Robertson Schoolhouse. And the meeting was about a new temporary homeless shelter that we're building in the city. And when we go into these public events, I always try to gird myself. I worry that it's going to get contentious, that people are going to be angry. And once again, I was heartened to listen to the conversation that was happening around me. In the back of the room were people, activists, who believe strongly that we need to provide shelter for people who are homeless. We need to provide the necessities that they need to be able to lift themselves up and to get back on their feet. And at the front of the room were the residents whose buildings surround where this new temporary shelter is going to go. But they weren't angry, and they weren't frustrated, and they weren't shouting. They were asking questions, asking about what types of care would be available to the people that are going to be living in that shelter. And what sort of metrics does the region use to make sure that what they're offering works and that they're actually transitioning people off of the streets into the shelter, but then into homes and into apartments? And I listened to the conversation, and I realized over the last 14 years, I've come here and I've talked about the type of community that all of us here are trying to build. And being there tonight before I came here, I realized this is the type of community that we have. Reverend Ken talked about the people who were here on Friday nights. I know I've had long experience with Out of the Cold. I worked overnight shifts. I did the meal service. And what he said is true. the people that are here on Friday nights, the people who are at other churches for the meal services there, the people who would stay in the overnight shelters, the people who are going to access this new temporary shelter, they're not different from all of us here. They've had different experiences in their life. They've dealt with things that many of us have never had to deal with. I know from my own personal experience, I'm incredibly blessed. I had what can only be described as a very privileged upbringing. And I'm sure many of us in the room share that. When I have conversations with the folks that need to access out of the cold, that need to access the shelter spaces, that need to access our regional community services, none of them have had the type of upbringing I've had. They've had a much more difficult road. And so I raise that only because I think it's important for all of us to remember that if we're here tonight and we're supporting out of the cold, we are continuing to do the good work of building the community that we want to build. I think it's important for us to always come back to that. I think it's important for us to always remember that point, that this is building towards a better place for all of us, not just for those of us who are lucky enough to be here this evening, not just those who are lucky enough to go home to a warm apartment or a warm house with family and friends and be able to celebrate during this holiday season. We are building towards a community where all of us have a place to live and to have safety and security and be able to try and build the best possible lives for ourselves and those around us that we can. So on behalf of St. Catharines City Council, I want to thank you all again for being here tonight, for giving me the opportunity to come and speak again. I want to thank the Fort Erie Legion Band for being so understanding of me. I want to thank the Thorold Reed Band for, I shouldn't say thank, I want to congratulate them for avoiding me. And I want to thank the Knox Presbyterian Church Choir, whose beautiful voices are so uplifting every time I'm here. And again, I want to thank you for being here and for continuing to do good work in our community and for giving me the opportunity to speak once again. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
And first clarinets, please. All clarinets and flutes, please. Saxophones join, please. Clarinets and saxophones only, actually. Flutes are together. Saxophones and clarinets. Everyone.
Within a classic Christmas, you just heard the music of Vivaldi, Bach, and Handel. I mean, if it's Baroque, there's no need to fix it. It's his joke. The next piece, Cantique de Noël, is better known to most of us as Old Holy Night. This evening, Nick Van Helvert will present the opening melody solo on his alto saxophone. I'm now happy to have 2 of the 3 Van Helvert kids back playing for me, as his sister Emmy has just joined Nick in the saxophone section. Marley, you're next. I lost my spot, Andrew. There we go. It always makes me, Andrew, happy to have former students come out to join one of my adult bands. The band is growing since the pandemic, though not yet back to the 55 or so we had beforehand. The Thorold Reed Band is now close to 45 attending members when we are all together. That piece is a lovely workout for the woodwinds. Our next new arrangement is one. Our next is a new arrangement. Our next one is a new arrangement of a piece that you heard last year if you attended. It was played by Fort Erie then, but tonight we have a very rhythmic and syncopated Feliz Navidad, presented by the Thorold Reed Band, another fine bunch of volunteer players. We hope you enjoy.
I love the fact that I haven't been at the microphone yet. Can you even hear me? Ken is showing that when he speaks the word of God, he speaks well. Mayor Cisco is showing that when he speaks the word of the city hall, he speaks well. I can't speak the word of God. I wouldn't be a politician, but I'm glad I'm waving my arms, guys. Sorry. Thank you for coming tonight.
Folks, we're going to mix it up a little bit now. In the pew in front of you, you will find a thick navy blue hymn book. I'd invite you to open that up to page 146, hymn number 146. We're going to sing Angels from the Realms of Glory. Again, that's hymn number 146. You just heard one of Knox Choir's favorites to sing in a concert band arrangement, new this year to the Thorold Reed Band. We need a little rudder in each concert, I think. To lighten the mood a little, we now offer a medley of Winter Wonderland and Sleigh Ride with holiday cheers. We will be following that with a lovely setting of Still, Still, Still.
It's not mine. It's one of my band members. Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, we are almost to the close of our evening with one more piece to share. But before we do end our night together, there are a number of thank yous I would like to share. First of all, we express our gratitude together to the members of the Fort Erie Legion Band. And to the Thorold Reed Band. And of course, to our voiceless friend here, Andrew Carruthers. And thank you to Ken Hutton and members of the Knox Presbyterian Church Choir for leading our carols. Also, I do want to identify some people that have helped out with putting things together for this evening. Paul Marquis did a lot of work to prepare for tonight. Flo Taylor led the team that organized the gathering downstairs and the reception, and she has a whole crew of people who helped out with that work, so thank you to them. Some of our Out of the Cold volunteers and staff were helping out with greeting this evening, and there were lots of folks that helped out in other ways, so we express our thanks to them. And we thank you, Mayor Sisko, for being with us tonight. It's a great joy to share with you every year at this event, and we're very thankful for that. And Andrew's voice says you're welcome to Andrew. Now, we're really glad to be holding our gathering for dessert again after the concert too. This is something that we had to put on hold because of you know what. We're very thankful to the various bakeries, businesses, and restaurants in St. Catharines that provided food for that. You will see them listed in your program, and their names are also on display downstairs. Like I mentioned before, tonight is about raising funds to support the Out of the Cold ministry. I know a number of you made donations as you were coming in. If you didn't see the baskets, they're still there. Did I say that last year? Oh, you. Well, I'm you right now, so. Also, when we do go downstairs for the reception, there is something set up down there called a giving tree. A number of members of Knox Presbyterian formed a group they call the Knox Knitters, and they've been They've been knitting and crocheting mitts and scarves and toques and so forth. And those will be going to support folks through Out of the Cold, and they've been helping out some other organizations in our region as well. So please do drop by the Giving Tree downstairs, and they would also be happy to welcome any donations in support of Out of the Cold there. Did I forget anybody, Andrew? No. Oh, good. Well, yeah, that's fine. Sure. Paul, Andrew would like the mics on. He's going to try to talk.
Just to repeat the same thank you, but also to Reverend Ken. You guys don't know what he does behind the scenes, not only for this concert, but for this church and congregation. Thank you. and to all a good night.